The night was frozen in silence, the type that would make even the wind sound lonely. Snow descended endlessly, covering everything in white until it started to feel like the world had been erased. On the outskirts of a silent town, there was a small cabin made of wood, half buried in snow. Inside, Ethan Kohler Marine, now a single father, sat next to the dying fireplace. His little daughter Laya was sleeping on the couch, holding onto a teddy bear that had seen better days. The room was dim, the air cold, and the last few pieces of firewood were almost used up. Ethan stared at the fire, his eyes heavy, not from sleep, but from memories of better days. He used to build motorcycles, run a small workshop, and be proud of the life he had put together. That was now all in the past. He lost everything, the business, the wife, all that gave meaning to his world. All that was left was this cabin and the silence that came with it. Outside, the storm grew fiercer. The wind howled through the cracks and rattled the windows, while the roof creaked under the growing weight of snow. Ethan checked on his daughter, pulling her blanket tighter around her shoulders, and glanced out the window, wondering if the world still existed beyond the storm. That's when he saw them. Headlights. One, then two, then many more glowing through the blizzard like a line of stars. The deep rumble that followed wasn't thunder. It was the sound of motorcycles. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and helping others through their darkest nights, please like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from, as your continued support keeps stories of hope alive. Ethan reached for his jacket and went outside, his boots reaching deep into the snow. The noise got louder until, through the white chaos, a group of 20 motorcycles appeared. Their lights pierced the frost like fire in ice. Leading them was a tall woman, strong, steady, confident. Her name was Sierra Rhodes, CEO of one of the biggest motorcycle gear companies in the country, and leader of an all-women biker crew known as the Valkyries. They were veterans, survivors, and dreamers, warriors of the road who rode for change. The bicycles stopped in front of the cabin, their riders covered with snow. Their breath showed as white clouds in that freezing cold weather. Sierra got her helmet off, speaking in a clear and sober voice. "We need shelter, please." Before him stood 20 women, cold and shivering. His fire was dying, the food was short, and the roof barely held together. Yet something in him refused to send them away. "Come in," he said quietly. In a matter of minutes, the small cabin was filled with life and warmth. The Valkyries hung their wet coats near the fire, their laughter and chirping voices now filling that lonely space. The smell of coffee and soup from their flasks began to mix with the smell of burning wood. Laya slowly woke up and blinked to the sight of women around her, strong, kind, and smiling at her as if she were their little sister. One of them handed her a cup of cocoa, and for the very first time in months, she giggled. Sierra noticed Ethan standing in the corner, quiet and watchful. His posture gave him away. "You served, didn't you?" she asked softly. Ethan nodded. "Marine Corps." Sierra smiled faintly. "Then you know what it means to protect others, even when you've got nothing left." As the storm raged outside that night, there was warmth inside, not from the fire itself, but from shared humanity. The women helped patch up the cabin with spare tarps from their gear and shared stories of roads they'd conquered, people they'd helped, and battles they'd fought to rebuild their lives. Ethan listened silently, feeling something inside him move, some little spark of the man he used to be. The storm was over by morning. The world outside was white, still, and beautiful. Morning came quietly, in pearly brightness. The storm had passed, and all outside lay shining under a thick layer of snow. The Valkyries began to make plans for their leave-taking. They tidied up the cabin before they left. Sierra did not go with them. She stepped outside, where Ethan stood, staring at the snow-covered remains of his old workshop beside the cabin, where he used to build and repair motorcycles before everything fell apart. "You built these?" Sierra asked softly. Ethan nodded. "I did. Before I lost it all." Sierra smiled faintly. "Then maybe it's time to rebuild." A week later, the sound of engines filled the air again. 20 motorcycles rolled down Ethan's driveway, led once more by Sierra. But this time they weren't alone. Behind them came 3 large trucks, each bearing the Valkyrie Motor Company logo. Ethan went out, perplexed, and Sierra came up to him with an envelope in her hands. Inside he found partnership papers and a handwritten note. You gave us shelter when you had almost nothing, she said. Now it's our turn to give you one. The trucks opened, revealing tools, materials, and equipment. With the help of the Valkyries and local volunteers, Ethan's old workshop was brought back to life. The new sign above the door read, Liar's Garage. It became more than a repair shop. It was a place of hope, a safe space for veterans, widows, and single parents to learn, work, and rebuild their lives. Sierra made the partnership official, naming Ethan head of a new restoration program under her company that would give jobs to struggling veterans. Months passed, and the cabin that was once filled with silence now reverberated with laughter, music, and the hum of engines. The snow still came with each winter, but now it ushered in warmth and purpose instead of sorrow. The years passed, until one day Ethan found himself standing beside Sierra on stage at a charity event for the Valkyrie Foundation. Liar was now a teenager, proud to be in the audience. Ethan took the microphone, his voice shaking with gratitude. That night, I thought the world had forgotten me, he said softly. But it hadn't. It just sent angels riding through the snow. The crowd rose to their feet, applauding. Sierra smiled with her eyes bright with emotion. She knew this wasn't just a story of survival. It was a story about the humanity and power of kindness. As the screen fades, the narrator's voice returns. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps stories of kindness alive. And maybe, just maybe, someone out there will be inspired to open their door for a stranger someday. Because sometimes, all it takes is one knock, one storm, and one yes to change everything.